Turns out you can't coast on a reality TV salary. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reality stars who went broke. For this list, we'll be looking at reality TV stars who reportedly either spent all their money, filed for bankruptcy, or who owe a lot of money in taxes. We'll also be including stars who have since made their money back, as long as they lost it all at one point in time, or that's the way that it very strongly appears, they will be considered. Number 10. Heidi Montag and Spencer Pratt.
Ordering $3,000 bottles of Screaming Eagle, and I would get like one sip because there'd be like 10 people at the table, and I'd be like, we gotta get another bottle so I can get another.
Have you ever wondered why Montag and Pratt have appeared in so many reality shows over the years? It's not just because they love the work. Turns out they really need the money. In 2008, the couple had a net worth of $10 million, a fortune that should have lasted for years, if not their whole lives. But like most 20-somethings with extra money, they quickly burned through it with $4,000 bottles of wine and $30,000 shopping trips. By 2010, the couple were completely broke thanks to their reckless spending habits. As Spencer wonderfully puts it, quote, "We were keeping up with the Joneses, but we were going against Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes." Yep, that would certainly do it.
Well, be careful, you're heading into the lion's den.
Number 9. Kody Brown.
Eventually, I'm going to lead to places they might not want to go.
Brown is the primary subject of Sister Wives, a TLC show that chronicles Brown's polygamous relationship with his 4 wives and their 18 children. And while nothing has officially been proven, many fans have been questioning their financial situation as of late. For one thing, they moved to the unincorporated township of Baderville, near Flagstaff, Arizona, instead of Utah because it was supposedly cheaper. They also had significant trouble selling their houses in Vegas and were forced to bring the prices down out of desperation. 3 of the wives are also apparently renting instead of buying, and the Browns only reportedly put 10% down on an $820,000 parcel of land. Maybe it doesn't spell total financial ruin, but the fans certainly seem to have cause to worry.
Such a mess.
Number 8. NeNe Leakes.
I don't keep up with the Joneses. I am the Joneses.
Leakes is a veteran of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, starring as a main cast member for 10 of the show's 12 seasons. This kind of stint earns big money, but with big money comes big tax bills, and you sort of have to pay your taxes. Okay, not sort of, you do have to pay your taxes. Leakes didn't, and was slapped with an over $820,000 tax bill by the IRS in 2016. She subsequently took to Twitter and said, "For all those that are asking, reporting, and concern, yes, I am broke and unemployed." Luckily, she managed to scrounge up the money and completely paid off her tab just a few months later.
When I was at the party, that's so not cool. I was really mad.
Number 7. Abby Lee Miller.
This morning, the hard-charging, larger-than-life dance mom star, Abby Lee Miller,
and everybody's watching you cry. Save your tears for the pillow.
Getting candid about her 8 months in prison for bankruptcy fraud.
You all know Abby Lee Miller as the choreographer on Dance Moms, but she doesn't exactly make for the greatest role model. Miller was actually broke before Dance Moms and filed for bankruptcy in 2010 after owing more than $400,000 in back taxes. Dance Moms significantly helped her financial situation, but she was subsequently hit with a slew of charges in 2015 stemming from concealment of income. She hid roughly $750,000 and was indicted on charges of fraud, concealment of bankruptcy assets, and false bankruptcy declarations. She was sentenced to 1 year and a day in prison and 2 years of supervised release after striking a plea deal with the IRS.
When opportunity knocks, open the door.
Number 6. Teresa Giudice.
People make fun of Jersey girls, but I think they're just jealous.
It seems like these Real Housewives think they can just skip paying their taxes and get away with it. But as every tax fraudster knows, the IRS always comes knocking sooner or later. Giudice is known for appearing on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, having starred in all 10 seasons. In 2013, 4 years after the premiere of Real Housewives, the Giudices were charged with 39 counts, including bank fraud, bankruptcy fraud, and repeated failure to file tax returns. Teresa was sentenced to 15 months in prison, and her husband was sentenced to over 3 years, and faces a potential deportation to Italy. Shortly before her release from prison, Teresa's 2 houses entered foreclosure, though only one ultimately foreclosed, and in 2018, she was ordered to pay restitution to the IRS.
I didn't know I was committing a crime. The government saw it differently.
Number 5. Porsha Williams.
What's the next wig we gonna get? Where's the vacation? Where's the hookah spot?
Williams is another popular Real Housewife, as she began starring in The Real Housewives of Atlanta in 2012. She was famously married to football player Cordell Stewart, but their divorce in 2013 put significant financial strain on Williams. Immediately following their divorce, TMZ reported that Williams moved back in with her mother so she could get her finances in order, which included nearly $18,000 in overdue homeowner bills. In 2019, she was hit with a not insignificant $240,000 tax bill by the IRS, but the issue was quickly resolved and Williams faced no legal repercussions. It seems like moving back in with her mother was the right call, because everything now seems a-okay on the money front.
People say I have a picture-perfect life, and I do.
Number 4. Danielle Staub. Staub first made herself known via The Real Housewives of New Jersey, having starred in the first 2 seasons of the show.
You're either gonna love me or hate me. There is no in-between with me.
However, she subsequently disappeared before returning as a friend in season 8. In the interim, Staub filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, claiming that she only made $63,000 in 2012 and was nearly $2 million in debt, which included roughly $170,000 in unpaid taxes. Now that is some significant debt. Luckily for Staub, a federal judge discharged most of her debt in 2014. In the end, Staub had to hand over just $35,000. Still a good chunk of change, but hey, it could have been $2 million.
Because I don't like to sweat, and I don't really like to work too hard at looking good.
You're lucky.
Number 3. Todd Chrisley.
We grew up in a very small rural town, and now our main home is 30,000 square feet.
The USA Network program Chrisley Knows Best follows the family of real estate guru Todd Chrisley. It's ironic that the show started in 2014, as Chrisley was in the midst of 2 bankruptcy cases that had been filed in the last 2 years. Maybe he doesn't know best after all. The family was supposedly kept afloat by Chrisley's wife Julie, as Todd allegedly had just $100 in his bank account and had amassed nearly $50 million in personal and corporate debt. The family had failed to pay all their debts by 2015 and were forced to move to a more modest house. Things haven't gotten much better since then. In 2017, the two were slapped with over $700,000 in income tax liens, and in 2019, they were indicted on numerous counts of fraud and tax evasion.
I want your honest opinion does not mean they really want your honest opinion.
But I'm gonna give you my honest opinion, and it's my child.
Number 2. Sonja Morgan. Morgan is one of the stars of The Real Housewives of New York, having remained a series regular since season 3 in 2010.
I have a taste for luxury, and luxury has a taste for me.
That same year, Morgan filed for Chapter 11 protection and claimed that she was in the hole for an astounding $20 million. Unlike many others on this list, that debt didn't result from poor spending habits or willful tax evasion. Rather, it was allegedly accrued after a business arrangement to make a John Travolta starring film between Morgan's Sonja Productions and Hannibal Pictures Inc. that fell through and totally obliterated her finances. It took 5 years and untold amounts of sweat and tears, but Sonja was finally able to work her way out in 2015 after forking over $9 million.
Okay, so I had a walk of shame. I admit it. I live for the walk of shame. Actually, I call it more of a victory lap.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Janice Dickinson.
Janice Dickinson, one of the world's first supermodels.
Dickinson is the self-proclaimed world's first supermodel. Regardless of whether that's true or not, she's remained in the fashion business with her reality show, The Janice Dickinson Modeling Agency, and by judging America's Next Top Model. Unfortunately, all this work failed to result in steady finances.
I never asked anybody for anything other than work.
In 2013, it was reported that Dickinson filed for bankruptcy, owing nearly $1 million to the IRS, California and New York state governments, and various plastic surgeons.
We had a whole lot of issues to work out.
I'm mad at you.
And why is that?
She also faced an eviction lawsuit after defaulting on her rent for 3 months. That said, her entire debt was discharged by a California judge in 2014. And just like that, Janice's debt went from $1 million to 0. How good must that feel?
Hunched up and said, I am hiding a deep, dark secret. You must learn how to forget it.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.